Hello and welcome back to Raging Loop. Thinking on that possibility, I parted ways with Takumi, then returned to my hut and washed the blood off. That's where we left off last time. I went to the plaza again. The people had gathered around the dining hall. They were handing out food, apparently. You washed your hands? Yes, and the rest of my body. I see. Well done. Fire seemed to be a bit softer on me than before. You young ones need to eat. You won't last long if you don't. True. What about you? I don't have an appetite right now. You should eat anyways, if you can manage it. Giving a vague response, Taya looked up at the boulder next to us. I followed her gaze and... This is... Saw the blood sign from last time. Yeah, each of them represents a wolf returning from Yomi, so since there's 2 marks, it stands to reason there's 2 wolves. That was what Chiyomi had told me last time. But there is now 3 marks. And now... There are 3 wolves. Yep, there were 3 of those weird diamond whorls. What do you mean? I'll tell you later. Very well. See you then. A bit overwhelmed, I walked away. The number of people had increased. I was told there could be 3 wolves at most, and that was exactly what we got this time. Why? What caused this change? There were several differences from last time, but which one of them did it? Whatever it was, I could assume that knowing the roles from last time wasn't much of an advantage. We've increased the player number, let's go. Outside the dining hall, Kanzo was sitting on the ground and drinking something from a large bowl. He looked up at me and... Better eat up, said those curt words before focusing on his bowl again. He didn't trust me, nor did he antagonize me more than necessary. That was pretty reasonable, actually. Welcome back, Fusaishi. Inside the building, I found the students, Uematsu, Meiko, Kiyonosuke, and Kawagi. Well, there was the old wolf guy too, but he was just staring at an empty bowl in the corner of the room. Sorry I couldn't help. Oh, don't be. Thank you so much for helping Takumi. I didn't do much. Where's Chiyomi and Mamiya? The journalist said something about looking inside the camera and locked herself up in her room. Serizawa went to clean the journalist's clothes. Made sense. Mamiya was really bloody. There you go. Kaori gave me a bowl and I took one of the empty seats. Thank you for your work, Fusaishi. No problem, Yasunaga. You already remembered my name. What an honor. That wasn't enough to hint I was looping, was it? I took a pair of chopsticks and ate up. It was a simple meal of some boiled vegetables and meat. I'm sorry, it's nothing impressive. These are leftovers from yesterday. But we can't waste anything, as you might imagine. How much food do we have? The fridge stopped working, so the milk and meat will go bad soon, but you don't have to worry about the rice and vegetables. Oh. I didn't think about it last time, but at the very least this awful situation didn't come with a food shortage. Perhaps that was a silver lining. So you have no electricity. Any other problems? I'm worried about the gas. It was almost time to change the cylinder, so if it runs out, should we make bonfires? The mountain will go apeshit. Shikamoshi, what's your language? Listening to that strangely mundane exchange, I resumed eating. It was actually good. It didn't look like it was, so I felt like I had to close my eyes. Unlike the soup I was given in Kami Fujiyoshi, it was well salted and had a rich taste. The meat had to be the game killed by Kanzo and gutted by Chiyomi. It didn't reek much and had a simple flavor. It was probably venison. I'd consider this revenge for the time they made a fool out of me in the mountains. In terms of the amount of meat and seasoning, the people here seemed to be eating better than in Kami Fujiyoshi. Was it just my imagination? After emptying my bowl, I was offered some more and gladly took it. It was best to eat whenever I had the chance. I'm impressed by how quickly you got used to the local food. Yonosuke suddenly commented. I thought he was being sarcastic, but his tone didn't seem antagonistic. You're not eating? I have food at home. Honestly, I've lived in the city for so long that the local food seems tasteless to me now. By local, he probably meant Fujiyoshi as a whole, not just Yasumizu. And I really don't feel like eating right now. You should dig in, uncle. You might not get another chance. Mochi. Haru had been completely pale since I'd arrived, but she suddenly covered her mouth and ran off to the bathroom. She'd forced herself to eat what she'd been given, but the stress had left her unable to keep it down. Chikamochi, you were disinherited because you don't understand people's feelings. Have you learned nothing? I don't want to hear that from you. I'll go say sorry. He went to the bathroom too, leaving the rest of us feeling kinda awkward. What's gonna happen now? We will probably have a gathering like the old days and use it to decide who did it. And what then? Don't worry, Fuzashi. Yasunaga joined the conversation with an unnaturally bright tone. I'm sure it won't be anything unreasonable. Yeah. About that. Oh, you sound confident. Makes you seem reliable. Maybe. Anyway, don't worry. Was he a wolf this time too? As I frowned and thought to myself, Takumi joined us. Takumi. Kaori, get me lots of whatever's up. You alright, Kyo? Don't call me that. Oh, Fuzashi, you eaten too? Yeah, thank you for the food, Kaori. Man, you got to eat her food before me. Lucky you. Good stuff, huh? Yes, makes me want someone like her as my wife. Oh my, you flattered me too much. You. Don't tell me you're after. Huh? What's up with this atmosphere? After playing it off. By the way, Takumi. I called to Takumi in a low voice. What? When's the feast? At 9, old man Kanzo said it. Alright. It wasn't even an hour before we would begin discussing who to kill. Takumi began eating and everyone fell silent, so I went and moved seats. You okay, old man? Oh? He was the same as always. Man, just what would we do if he had a guardian? This sure is troublesome. I arrive and get caught up in the mist the very next day. Where in Yasumizu do you live? Good. This wasn't even a conversation. Sorry, looks like I got in the way of something. It's safe here. Excuse me? This is the most safe place. That's why I'm here. Safe? You mean the dining hall? No response. Were we having a dialogue or was he just muttering things that made no sense? Was he talking about Yasumizu? That couldn't be it. After all, this was the least safe place in Fujiyoshi. I'd thought that he had a reason why he found it safe, but whatever it was, it couldn't save him from dying last time. In the end, it wasn't safe for him either. Something seemed off, but I couldn't put my finger on what. I'd somehow lost my right to sit next to him and began searching for a new seat as I waited. The clock seemed to move strangely slowly. A chair next to me was pulled a bit. Anyway, where could I sit? Our eyes met. Anyway, where could I sit? I wish to talk to you, Haruaki. She expressed it with words. Anywhere, where could I... Don't ignore Rikako. Why are you the one saying that? What do you mean? I know you're new and don't know who to respect, but it's common courtesy to respond to a woman's modest consideration. I would argue it's common courtesy to respond to anyone talking to you. At least initially. Oh, I'm not sure if it was modest, but I can't really argue with the rest. So you understand. Wait, are you just messing around? Rikako, you look beautiful today. Oh. There, we're done talking. Anyway, Nosato, how do you manage to play the straight man so naturally? Uh-huh? Don't mess around with the village heads. You're being weird. Wow, you made a comedy routine out of these people. Strange guy. Saishi is quite funny. Kaori, look at this face.
It's funny, Takumi.
Kyonosuke eventually shouted the standard, "I'm not staying with someone so ill-bred," and left. Well, Takumi went with him, so I doubted Kyonosuke would end unlucky victim number 2, as per horror cliches. It came back to me. During the previous feast of the Yomi Purge, Chikamochi Kamoshida and the old wolf guy had been killed, probably by something other than corruption. The suspects from back then who were now around the dining hall were... No. If it meant finding out the truth, I could just leave that. I had to switch gears. Anyway, I sat down next to Rikeko, who'd said her "oh" so many times she'd actually gone limp.
Usayuki.
So that was my name now, huh? I gave up on correcting her. Hey Mako, I'll borrow Oni a bit.
Okay.
Are you going to talk? Then want to play with me, Mako?
Yeah.
Yasunaga took Mako with him, giving us a chance to talk.
You are awful.
Hearing that from a beauty like you actually makes me happy. I was actually starting to find these reactions adorable. I could enjoy bullying a cute older woman. This was a rare opportunity, and I appreciated it immensely. Anyway, what is it?
I feel quite guilty.
Huh? Why?
Because I accepted you and the journalists at the worst possible time.
Is that something to feel guilty about? No one can predict when a mist comes.
No, this is all happening because of our Fujiyoshi's original sin.
Original sin?
Yes, this village prospered by killing the servants of God, after all.
The ancient story of killing the wolves, huh? I'd like to hear more.
Yamawaki should give an explanation later.
Yamawaki will?
Yes, after all, she is Yasumizu's representative.
Representative? Not a landlord, huh?
Yes, everything in Yasumizu belongs to either the village or the family heads, but it still needs a manager. Yamawaki is a well-adjusted lady, and the oldest of us all, so she possesses discretion. That is the way it is.
I see. So the way it is that, huh? Instead of turning bashful, she actually glared at me this time. This was pretty good too. That aside, I now knew how it was. That's a weird combination of words to read. The eldest was the representative, and with that she was in charge of the feast's tutorial. By the way, you seem pretty hung up on guests. Is there some sort of local culture related to that?
Yes, I hear that Fujiyoshi was once full of visitors who came to the Shinai Shrine to pray for good hunting. Hunters from the outside were considered honored guests and treated kindly around here.
That made sense. If the belief itself was the village's main draw, I could understand why this unique religion survived for so long. I wanted to get some certain details, but it didn't seem like something I should ask about while alone. But that's how it was. You're nice to me because I'm a guest, right?
No, that is not.
Or is it because I was there when you got hurt?
That is... Yes, thank you again. But... Do I need a reason?
Oh, not at all. I just felt like there was some reason behind it.
What if there was?
I'd be happy. Maybe. The adorable woman hung her head down, cheeks reddening. I was the one playing around with her, but that actually made me feel kind of bashful. Perhaps I had to be more serious about her feelings. How would I do that, though? Forget it. It wasn't the time for that. I was given an important role, so I had to find a way to keep the others alive.
Shall we go?
Kaori's voice prompted everyone to rise from their seats. Then we wordlessly began to leave the dining hall. It didn't feel like an emergency, but this was the end of our normal everyday life. We already had people at the hall. Hanzo, Takumi, Kyonosuke, Yoshitsugu, and...
Guys.
Shimi and Mamiya were here too. Mamiya looked depressed. Her panic attack seemed to have subsided, but that didn't mean she'd come around to all this. Jimmy whispered to me that they couldn't read the data they picked up, so we had no clues from the camera. The wolf guy, the students, Haru's face was still pale. Kaori, Rikako, Meiko, and I all went inside. Something strange happened then. As they went in, they hid their faces with both hands and lowered their heads. It was a really weird gesture. I'd actually seen it last time, though. Kaya had done this while facing a boulder when Prayer to Shinai was playing over the speakers. There'd been a strange, veil-like thing on her face. Must have been another local custom. For now, I just followed their lead. Everyone sat in a circle. It seemed they were seating in order of age, starting from the far end.
Yamawaki, I will sit next to Meiko.
Very well. It wasn't enforced, though. Fusashi and the journalist should sit at the lower end. All right. I sat down closest to the exit, then Mamiya sat down beside me. Are you okay with this?
I'm not a local after all.
Her tone was cold. What's gonna happen now?
No clue.
She was whispering things like, why did this happen? Or this just can't get any worse, and they couldn't see a single trace of the vigor from yesterday. Is this everyone? Yamawaki entered last and closed the door, plunging the room into darkness. Mamiya gasped and Meiko let out a quiet scream, but that was it. No one here from Yasumizu was shook. Then there was a click of a switch being turned on, lighting up the bare light bulb above. The lighting was poor, making everyone's illuminated faces stand out more. It felt unnatural, like a whole other world. Everyone seated, then let's begin the feast of the Yomi Purge. If they're sitting in age order, that's actually interesting because that means that Tai is younger than Kanzo, which I didn't expect. Everything else is kind of like I thought it would be. I mean, Chiyomi is also in the wrong position, technically, because for her, I know that she's older than the students. Everything else is kind of... It would also mean that Kiyonosuke is younger than Kaori or Takumi, which I also wouldn't have necessarily expected. I mean, I wouldn't have expected them to be very far in age, but I would have probably expected him to be on the older side. And so it began. Urged by Yamawaki, Rikako, as though understanding her implications, went deeper into the room. And, after a bit of messing around, returned to us without tripping. In her hands, she held a labelless bottle. Would labelless have two L's? I don't think I've ever... Wait, I'm actually curious about that now. Because if I were to write that, I don't think I've ever read or written the word labelless, but I would write it with two L's. Let me just check. Labelless, two L's, yep. Game.
This is divine sake presented to Shinai. Please drink it, starting from the guests.
Rikako sat down next to Mamiya and gave her an aged sake cup. Do I have to?
Yes, it wards off the corruption.
Mamiya didn't reply, but still took it. Rikako then filled it with sake.
Is everyone drinking this? Drink as much as you want. We have a lot of sake.
Hisako glared at the cup, smelled it, then just drank it all down. She sure looked like she could hold her liquor.
It's normal, good quality sake. It smells fruity like injo.
Impressed by her professionalism, I took the cup from her.
Can you drink, Haruaki?
Bring it on. With a light-hearted reply, I let her fill the cup. Then drank it all. Yeah, it was actually pretty good. It seemed like a luxury even. I had no idea how such a poor settlement got their hands on it. It didn't seem like I could ask for more, so I just gave the cup to make her refill. Rikako gestured for her to just pretend to drink it. Same for the students. The sake went through several people without anyone drinking.
Now it's all adults. Here I go.
and Chimi emptied it the moment she got it. Rikako, who'd be sitting next to her if it wasn't for Mako, then took a sip herself, followed by Kaori until Kyunosuke finally emptied what was left. Takumi drank 2 full cups, saying, "Some feast, huh? You get to drink sake during the day." Then the elders each emptied a cup. That was everyone, so Rikako took the bottle and cup and returned to her place. "We done. Tai. Talk."
We have people who do not know the story. You should start from the beginning.
"That's true. Well, let me tell you about it." Finally. Shinai-sama is the god of the mountain. Long ago, when this village was made, Shinai-sama's first guardian was the wolves, Okami-sama. The wolves protected the other guardians, the snake, monkey, crow, and spider, from the Yomibito.
What's a Yomibito? People who died and came back. Scary. It's fine. I am with you.
In Kami Fujiyoshi, the Okami-sama are still worshipped with Great Lord Shinai, even more revered than the other guardians. But here in Yasumizu we have a different story. The Okami-sama did protect humans, but also ate them. The Okami-sama also forbade fire. That's why the people sought help from the snake, monkey, crow, and spider and tricked the Okami-sama. Rikako had called it Yasumizu's original sin. Last time Chimi was the one to tell me. Everyone living here knew it, surely. And since Kyunosuke and Rikako knew it, the village heads knew it as well. Kami Fujiyoshi's people, though, just continued to revere the Okami-sama, the wolves. The people held a feast and gave the Okami-sama lots of sake. The other guardians helped? Can you spell that like that? Pushed the sake on the Okami-sama, and so the Okami-sama got very drunk. Eventually, when the Okami-sama fell asleep, the people took the Okami-sama and threw him into Saranaga. Fujiyoshi then prospered more than ever before, but every now and then the Okami-sama would rise from Yomi and eat people again. The Okami-sama can pretend to be human, so the humans must find them, hang them, and slay them all. However, they could only hang one a day. That was one of Shinai-sama's rules. They gathered like this and decided which one to slay. They called it the Feast of the Yomi Purge. The evening mist is the sign of the Okami-sama's arrival, so everyone prepares. Take a bath, hole up in a house alone, and sleep well. That, too, is one of Shinai-sama's laws. Those who don't do it receive the corruption, Shinai-sama's divine punishment. Young lady, can you please stop writing? Mamiya was taking notes. She silently put away her notepad, and I couldn't read her expression at all. I'll explain everything you don't understand. Now, on the day of evening mist, Shinai-sama brought the corruption, and the Okiba was marked with 3 symbols of the Yomotsu Okami-sama.
Sorry, but what is an Okiba?
Stones you can find around Yasumizu. They seem to have been placed there by people, but no one really knows where they came from. Yasumizu's people believe they should be respected.
I heard that. Before the watering hole was created, the fires were lit atop the stones, so Okiba might mean place for kindling.
That seemed like a weird idea to me, but I just kept listening. Yasumizu is poor, you see. The soil is bad and we get no sunlight. There are many wild beasts, but hunting them is always a matter of life and death. But because of the Okiba, we believe this place is special.
I see. So, what was that about symbols?
Those diamonds with worlds in them, right? Yes, there are 3 of them, so there are 3 wolves. And how many people do we actually have here? There's 15, okay.
How do you know that? Is this a daily thing here?
We have mountain festivals around here. Every year the Miguruma dress up as guardians and walk around the village. A number of wolves is announced in a similar way. That matched what Jamie had told me last loop, down to the part that there were a maximum of 3 wolves. Why 3? Because it's 2 parents and a child. I myself had already imagined something like that, and it turned out I was on the mark. It didn't seem all that important though. After all, the wolves didn't have that manner of blood relationship last time. I can hardly believe it happened too, but now that it did, the people of Yasumizu must hang the Okami-sama. That is the reason why the village heads are so kind to us. It's our mission. Yoshitsugu clicked his tongue and Yasunaga calmed him down. Takumi furrowed his brow as expected. The village heads? Kind to Yasumizu inhabitants? The exact opposite was true, and many seemed to reject her words. However, she got the story across, and since no one pointed out any problems, it was probably completely right.
Fujiyoshi as a whole depends heavily on Yasumizu, so...
I also came to understand those words. Yasumizu existed to be the first line of defense if the wolves returned. The people here weren't some venerable soldiers though, they were more like sacrifices. In the Shinai faith, Saranaga was the entrance to Yomi, so by letting someone live nearby, they could stop the resurrected wolves via the feast. In Yamawaki's story, this duty was something that Kami Fujiyoshi's family heads rewarded in some way. This wasn't the time to focus on the minor inconsistencies though. There was something more important. I had to listen and see how accurate the rules she presented would be. Keeping my mouth shut, I waited until she'd gone over everything regarding the rules. Then I considered it all. We had these among us. 3 wolves, a snake, 2 monkeys, a crow, and a spider. So that's 8 rolls for 15 or 16 people. It's actually an interesting one because I never considered, at least as far as I remember, whether I've already forgotten his name. He's been dead for about like 6 hours in game. The male journalist would have been assigned a role or not, because while he did die during the night, I feel like it would heavily depend on when the roles were assigned. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll just never find out. The snake could write down the name of a still living person and place it by their pillow before bed to find out what they were. The monkeys, upon receiving their guardians, would be informed about who the other monkey was. The crow would wake up to find out whether the person lynched the day before was a wolf or a human. The spider could write down the name of a still living person and place it by their pillow before bed to protect them from the wolves. The powers of these guardians were given out with no regard for the blood of the families they were supposedly protecting. Their powers were to be used to discuss and lynch someone each day. There were 3 wolves. They would brutalize one of the humans every night. The wolves had to be purged before they killed all the humans. If you broke the rules, the god of the mountain would bring forth the corruption, a supernatural death upon you. Once the explanation was over, the room was filled with the sounds of discussion, but there was still something I had to confirm. I opened my mouth. Hold on, Tai, there's something I don't understand. But Yasunaga was faster. What is it? You said that the wolves only kill 1 person per night. Yes. Why? In Shinai-sama's court, even the Yomatsu Okami-sama must do what he says. Why did he give them that rule, and why do they obey it? It's not for us to fathom. Another thing, if the wolves go for the spider's target, can they go for anyone else once they realize they failed? They can't. I was told that if the spider stops the wolves, the humans sleep in peace that night. How do you know that? My grandmother told me a long time ago. You haven't participated in a feast before, have you? His strong tone made everyone freeze. Yasu, what's up with you? If there are feasts every time there's a mist, someone here must have been in one, right? As far as I know, we had a mist just 8 years ago, and...
Stop!
Haru raised her voice and attracted everyone's attention.
Stop! I don't want to remember.
But Haru, I'll ask later, Yasu. My son and his wife died back then. Don't make Haru hear about it. Oh, so that was how it was. Did you see the aftermath of the landslide uphill? It's been like that ever since the Nosota got to work on the place 8 years ago and it collapsed. It was all coming together. The landslide and Haru's parents' deaths both happened 8 years ago, when there was mist.
I wasn't in Yasumizu back then. Did you forget? I helped around the Kami Fujiyoshi school you children were staying at. It's my first time. The feast probably happened while we were away. But my grandmother might have been in one herself.
I see. Yasunaga backed down, but didn't seem all that convinced. I also had questions how the rules of the feast could be passed down so perfectly through nothing but word of mouth. After all, rejecting those rules meant death. What if there were gaps in what we'd just been told? Those who'd never heard of these rules or participated in the feast wouldn't have a clue. From what I knew, Tai didn't mention 3 important rules just now. The wolves also couldn't kill more than one person. If the spiders successfully stopped the wolves, they couldn't choose any other sacrifices for the night. The guardians were written in blood and you couldn't show yours to anyone. The first 2 were pointed out by Yasunaga. The last one, the thing I'd heard from Kanzo, wasn't mentioned yet. I wasn't too confident in this method of conveying the rules. If this was the way they'd been passed down over the course of the feast's long history, it seemed to me that vital information would have been left out like this, resulting in everyone dying through unintended rule breaking long ago. That would have ended the tradition, and the fact that hadn't happened meant there might have been other ways of conveying information. In particular, they hadn't mentioned anything about the way the Guardians were given. Leaving out the part about how they revealed through blood text seemed particularly risky. After all, it was possible that you could sleep in and someone could come in and see it without you realizing it, or you could roll around in a bad way and rub it out. Well, if they said it was some supernatural blood that didn't fade so easily, I'd have no idea what to make of that. There was also the possibility that you could walk around with the text on your stomach without realizing it was there. It took Kanzo pointing it out for me to go back and check it. I'd have liked to ask more about it, but that was the same as telling the wolves I had a guardian. What a predicament. But it didn't seem like I had any time to think about it. Enough of that. We drink, listen to the hag, and pick someone to kill, right? And how the fuck do we do that, huh? A reasonable question. If the story is true, it means that some of us are already dead and replaced, doesn't it? No. Like hell that's true. Takumi had no patience for such superstitions. This is all the village head's fault anyway. They want to have some of us off in the mist to dampen our spirits. Mura, what do you think they are? Rotten-brained scumbags who are behind the times. Don't act like you can deny that. But what do we do to kill a person that way? I don't know. It don't matter, Takumi. The wolves will kill us all if we sit back and do nothing. We're gonna hang him in the feast. There's no other way. Oh man. Saying that at this point was pretty much an admission that he'd been in a feast before. However, his sternness made it hard for anyone to point that out. And having experienced a feast or two before was actually an advantage in this situation anyways. After all, everyone would want to benefit from his knowledge and experience. Kan, how do we decide who to hang? Yamawaki's question made everyone look at Kanzo's face. You could tell how much they trusted him. Old man. What's he? Hey, you there. Fusaishi, right? Huh? Me? Yes? Can you die? What? My mind came to a halt for a moment, and I couldn't find how to respond. Uematsu, pour him some more. Makishima. Just do it. Rikako argued no further and brought me the cup and the sake. You should not drink. That's fine, I will. I took the cup and she filled it up. What do you mean? I drank it all down, then looked over everyone's faces. They lowered their gazes or looked away. Adults, children, the elders, even Chiemi. No one besides Kanzo looked into my eyes. I could see how it was. Someone's gotta die. We've gotta decide who. The wolves will win if we don't. Well, that is very untrue at this point. Because right now, there are 3 wolves and there are 12 non-wolves. We have literally no clue who the wolves are. So statistically, the chances of hitting a non-wolf are significantly higher than hitting a wolf. So actually, Kanzo, hanging someone right now would be incredibly stupid. Can't waste a day, but no one's reeking of wolf right now. We'll know more if one dies. I understood now. He wanted to start off by unmasking the crow. My death at the tree would be a chance for him to show themselves, since they'd know for certain whether I was human or a wolf. Kanzo really did know how the feast worked. He understood that victory depended on those with guardians. And since I was new here, I was easy to sacrifice. It would preserve the group's unity and mental health. I could tell that they would tolerate me being the one to hang. However, I couldn't let that slide. My current objective was to survive and escape. Not to mention I was the snake. My death would be really bad for the humans. However... You came here to die, didn't ya? Die for us, will ya? What a good scenario. If I said I didn't want to die anymore, they probably wouldn't suspect me, but it wouldn't be good in the long run. If they saw me as pathetic, I'd lose popularity and my word would start to mean less. The settlement was in danger. Kanzo was trying to take control of the situation and everyone was okay with it. If my words started meaning less to them, I'd be at a disadvantage, creating a situation where I, like the outsider I was, could be killed easily. My only option was to express that I was a person who shouldn't die, but be roundabout while doing it. However, that could make me look dangerous and make it more likely for them to see me as a wolf. Or some more. But, please do. Oh, so another reason he was making me drink was to get me drunk, making me less resistant to being hanged. Well thought out. I couldn't get drunk from this though. What a predicament. I had no choice but to man up.
Wait, what are you about to say?
Hisako Mamiya cut me off. This wasn't too bad, so I shut up and let her talk.
I can't just keep quiet and listen to you all. Are you all actually okay with that? If so, I can't play along.
Mamiya.
Don't you think this is weird? The tires burst and the next day we're caught up in something like this.
My bad.
At first I thought it was too old-fashioned even for you people, but now I actually believe this is some custom where you abduct and kill outsiders.
That's wrong. Takumi's expression changed as he cut her off. I see your point, but that's accidental. Everyone here feels for you.
But from what was said about Fusaishi, I'd be the one to go next, wouldn't I?
No, you wouldn't. The only one saying that is old man Kanzo. Listen, this ain't the way to do this. We should talk about who's shadier than the rest. That was space and not enter. No one is. We all reek the same. Talking ain't gonna help. We all reek, even me. Why? It don't matter in the feast. The old yet robust man stood up and spoke aloud. There are monsters among us. They don't look like it now, but they kill us at night. That's the feast of the Yomi Purge. You won't win with emotions. Huh? Monsters? Old age getting to you, huh?
Yoshitsugu, please stop.
You believe in monsters, hag? I don't. There's also the issue of the guy who put nails in a woman's tires. Someone put them there? There hasn't been any construction recently, right? People here barely have money for nails. Gotta be on purpose. Are you saying the village heads will be Are you saying the village heads are responsible? Who else? They want to see people die, so they drag the outsiders into it. Oh, seems likely. Preposterous. They're too busy for that. Young'un, you were sent by Higuchi, right? No, this was bad. He told you anything? Takumi, Yoshitsugu, and even Mamiya stared at me. Oh, Fusaishi. They now thought I could have been sent to you by the village heads as an agent of theirs. That was a really good script, especially since I actually was the one who burst those tires.
Stop, I can't listen to this. Those are all just assumptions. But if you're wrong, don't tell me it'll all be okay because the mountain will forgive us or something.
I don't care about forgiveness. We'll hang the wolves and protect Yasumizu. Not gonna ask Fusaishi anymore, and I ain't planning on arming the journalist. But nothing will change if no one dies, and I won't sleep right if I hang a woman or a child. That's all I'm asking for.
And hang me instead.
Well, that was unexpected. Everyone stared at the stern-faced Chiemi.
Yasumizu is about to unfairly kill a new neighbor. Is that what it's supposed to be like? If so, then I hate it. If you need a death, then kill me. Consider it atonement for all the trouble I caused.
Jie, what are you saying?
Yasu, I just went and thought about which one of us I would prefer to die. And when Kanzo targeted Haruaki, for a moment I actually thought that seemed fine. I can't forgive that part of me that Yasumizu has made. So if you need someone to die, then kill me, Kanzo.
Jie, stop that.
Yeah, I mean, there are other people who can take his place.
He didn't respond. His face was a total blank. No, he actually seemed slightly vexed.
It is just, as Serizawa says. If we seek a meaningless death from a guest, we cannot fault Mamiya for suspecting us the way she did.
Then you do it. You're a fucking family head anyway. Fine by me.
What are you saying? He is the last of the Uematsu, the protectors of dreams. How can you even suggest that?
Shut up, you scrawny fuck.
It is true that I have no guardian and would simply get in everyone's way. But I am concerned about this girl.
Using the brat to back for your life, huh? Yoshitsugu, shut up already. And you stop playing the good guy. It's their fault that Mom's. This has nothing to do with Uematsu. Stop troubling Mom already.
Yasunaga, Yoshitsugu.
I was at my limit. Though Kanzo's idea was reasonable, it was possible he too was being swayed by antagonism towards the village heads. If they moved based on that or just some sort of hatred, everyone would just become more emotional. People became wolves without any regard for bonds and relationships. I knew that well. That was why I couldn't let the feast take that turn and become heavily controlled by outside factors. There was also the fact that I wasn't about to just accept death.